There's Drew Brees being tended to by 3 of his 4 children. He's got the best medical team in the world. We'll be back in no time. You see, he's using the breathing apparatus that anyone who's had surgery or a family member who's had surgery, that's a common device used to get the lung capacity back to where it needs to be. And that's important for Drew Brees because Ed Werder of ESPN reported on Monday, Chris, that Brees has 5 fractured ribs and a collapsed lung. So he's got to do some work to get the lung back to where it needs to be. The ribs will heal in their time, depending upon the severity of the fractures. I remember there was a time Donovan McNabb had a broken rib, and there was a concern that the rib's got to be sticky. It's got to be adhering to the rest of the rib because otherwise
it starts to
you have a piece of bone.
Yeah.
You have a piece of bone that is floating around in your internal organ cavity, which I'm no doctor. That sounds like probably not an ideal situation.
No, it's not an ideal situation. You know, the collapsed lung, I don't know a lot about that one. I don't. So I'm sure there's some things you got to work with there to get that back up to speed, strength, all those type of things. We talked about it yesterday. You know, ribs are tough. Ribs are tough no matter what, let alone, oh, man, I got to extend my body and create this torque and throw a football and do those type of things. You know, and I think you and I have had this conversation off camera. You don't have to break your ribs. I mean, even if you got pulls in the cartilage in between the ribs and things like that, it can be incredibly annoying and painful, and especially for a thrower, you know, where you have to raise that arm and create that torque all the time. And that's going to be, to me, the thing that I just go, ooh, you know, how bad is it in there? How much pain is he going to be able to deal with? You know, and it might be a few weeks before he feels like he can really cut it loose and, you know, throw balls 15 and 20 yards with some pace on it.
I fell down a hill when I was 14 years old and broke multiple ribs, and everything hurts. Breathing hurts.
Right.
And then on the night it happened, or maybe the next day, and I'm laying in bed immobilized, here come the hiccups. There was no pain I've ever endured in my life like hiccups on broken ribs. And I learned in that moment how to mentally harness your diaphragm and make the hiccups go away. The pain was that bad. So everything hurts. And he's got 5 of them. And here's the thing. There's a little bit a shell game that always goes on with NFL injuries. He was on the injury report the past couple of weeks with a shoulder. He was limited in practice. And then there are reports that he already had fractured ribs before this, and nobody knows what the truth is. And the teams know there's strategic value in deliberately obfuscating, because if you say he's got a rib problem, what are you doing? You're painting a target on each side of his rib cage for defensive players to come after. Here's Sean Payton yesterday talking about the situation with Drew Brees and also who takes over if Brees can't play.
I remember last year when Drew was injured in Seattle, you didn't name a starting quarterback until late into the week. That'll
be the case this week, too.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to follow up. And what?
Fair enough.
Could you the process of what goes into that? Is it this week in practice? Is it game plan?
Probably a little bit of all of it. Yeah, a little bit of all of that. And also, none of it benefits us by announcing that player earlier than later.
You know, it's funny. Sean Payton can be a very affable, friendly, gregarious guy, but when injury is the subject matter, he slips into the personality of Kassem, otherwise known as the Soup Nazi. But, look, that's the old school Bill Parcells approach. Why do you say anything about it? You're not saying anything about it. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
No, of course not. And then especially when one of the quarterbacks could be Taysom Hill, you know, that is going to make whoever you're playing just worry about all the ways he can attack you with the quarterback runs and all the creative things that way. So that's what he wants to do. He wants to be able to go, wait, you got to worry about defending the Drew Brees offense with Jameis Winston at quarterback. And I know that might not be exactly the same, but in theory, it's going to still be the Saints offense and what they do. And, oh, wait, Taysom Hill might start, and that could totally change. And now we're a run-first team and might have all these bells and whistles and everything like that, run the ball, and we take deep shots down the field with max protection and only 2 receivers. So Yeah, that's a schematical advantage for them. And I think Peyton's going to, Sean Payton's going to ride that home. I think it will be Jameis Winston, though, in my heart of hearts. I do. For the one reason, Mike, and I don't know, you tell me what your, pasta and meatballs in your stomach tell you after this, but, we haven't seen Taysom Hill play quarterback yet. How many reps has he gotten throughout the year to play quarterback and do those things? Those are the things I don't know. To where, hey, it'd be one thing if he was full-time quarterback, full-time backup, and he hadn't played. That's okay. Okay, yeah, he's getting reps, all that. But, think about, yeah, he's quarterback, but he might be down with the wide receivers. He might be with the running backs. He might be doing this. So how many reps has he got to really run within the offense since training camp as far as just running the drop-back part of it? And that's, to me, where I think it'll end up in Jameis Winston's hands, where he's quarterback, and then we see Taysom Hill just have a role in the offense.
But is that what we see, or is it Taysom Hill preparing to be the backup to Jameis Winston and no Taysom Hill package?
Yeah, I think that's
like last year when Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback.
I think that's what it'll be. I think you're not going to see a Taysom Hill package, and you're going to see him in the offense, to catch some balls and things like that. But I think they'll be careful with him because they're going to worry, again, hey, let's give the Saints credit. They got a Super Bowl team, and they went out and got a big-time backup quarterback once again. And let's see. Hopefully it saves their butt once again. But, yeah, I think I think that's probably the way they go because they don't want to risk losing Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston and then bye-bye season or bye-bye 2 games we've lost and now we're in trouble.
Here's the thing that sticks out for me, and there's 2.
It's a tough
First,
one. Yeah.
And this is the simplest level of logical analysis that I can engage in, which is also the most complicated I can engage in. Last year, when Drew Brees got injured week 2 against the Rams with the thumb problem that required surgery, and he missed several weeks, and he came back, and Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0, the depth chart that they always downplay. Oh, we only do this because we have to. Well, it's still a link on your website. You pull it up, and there it is. Drew Brees 1, Teddy Bridgewater 2, Taysom Hill 3. Next man up. Made sense, right? Yeah. Taysom Hill's not the backup. Teddy is. Of course, he takes over. This year, that depth chart that every team has, and whenever anyone tries to rely on it, they say, oh, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Drew Brees 1, Taysom Hill 2, Jameis Winston 3. And you throw on top of it the contract that was given to Taysom Hill in the offseason.
Right.
The 2-year deal with $16 million guaranteed. What are they paying him for?
I know.
Because they sure don't use him on the offense like
that capacity.
They gave him $16 million guaranteed. And if you're ever thinking about making this guy your quarterback post Brees, don't you want to find out at some point what he can do? We've used this sports car analogy with him in the past. You've bought it. It's in your garage. You're taking it out for like random spins, but you're never really finding out everything it can do. You're never dropping the pedal to the metal. You're never putting it in a spot where, you see how it handles and what you can accelerate it to. And, hey, if you think this guy can be Steve Young, and we didn't say that, Sean Payton said Steve Young. If you think he can be that, put him on the field while he is young. I mean, he's pushing 30, if not over 30. Let's see what the guy can do. You're going to trust him, presumably, at some point to be your quarterback. Put him out there. Let's go. Let's see what he can do this weekend.
I know.
That's what I would do. And if you don't do it, it makes me wonder what the hell's really going on with Taysom Hill.
Well, listen, it's a tough spot. I mean, it really, I think the guy has talent. Sean Payton recognizes that. He didn't get to play a ton of quarterback. He has plans for him to be, yes, maybe a future quarterback. But either way, I think part of paying him was just to keep him here for the future, too. Because of, maybe he's the quarterback. Maybe he is just a full-time weapon, H-back, tight end, slot receiver, running back type of guy. Maybe that's what it is. I think it's all on the table still. And that's really why they paid him. And I think Sean Payton looked at it and went, this is kind of my joker here. And I can use it in a lot of different ways. And I don't want to lose him as far as a weapon right now or a potential starting quarterback down the road. And it is a really tough decision this week. I don't know where you go with it.
Chris, though,
yeah.
hey, at some point,
Yeah, I know.
At some point, you're going to have other guys in that locker room looking at Taysom Hill saying, why are they paying this guy so much money? And why am I not getting that kind of money?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the Matt Ryan,
pet.
Julio Jones effect, where, when Matt Ryan gets to $30 million a year and Julio Jones is at 15, he's like, what's wrong with this picture? This guy isn't twice as valuable as me. So if you're Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, some other key piece of the puzzle, and you've got this guy who makes cameo appearances, and we know he can be very good, but he's only used sparingly, at some point you're like, what's going on here? And I think that has been the nagging question with the Saints and Taysom Hill all year. What's really going on here? And if Jameis Winston ends up playing quarterback and we don't see Taysom Hill on the field at all because he's number 2, I think the question becomes even more pronounced. What's going on with Taysom Hill and the Saints?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, it's going to open up a can of worms. So where people are going to wonder, yes, is he really the future of the franchise at quarterback? What's the story? Why aren't we playing him? But that's where, again, I think it's going to be a little bit about where he's at in this season. We're 10 weeks in. I'm sure he does some quarterback stuff, but how much of the day is he really there, going through the nuances of the offense? Oh, it's individuals, it's individual drill time. Quarterbacks are over here, receivers are over there, running backs are there. Is he always with the quarterbacks? I doubt that. I wouldn't imagine. I think there's probably certain scenarios he is, but other ones where he's down there with the receivers and the running backs and figuring things out that way too. And that's, to me, the big question, or the thing we will figure out, I guess, is just where he's at in that process, and can they trust him to run, a semblance of the Sean Payton, Drew Brees type offense, and he can do all of that stuff, let alone some of the stuff he does, as well. And I think that's where it's risky, and that's where Sean Payton's probably going to have to evaluate it during the week and as what's gone on during the season.
The good news for the Saints, the schedule is far from daunting in the immediate future. In fact, when you look at the balance of the schedule, they really don't have many games that scream out, uh-oh, you got a problem. The next 3 should be no problem, although the Falcons-Saints rivalry is very, very intense. They play twice in 3 games with the Broncos in between.
Yes.
And the Falcons have won 3 of their last 4. So this is not a gimme. And Raheem Morris, the interim coach of the Falcons, mentioned yesterday, well, I guess we're going to have to prepare for both guys, Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. And that may simply be what Sean Payton is trying to do. Now, I think the challenge comes Wednesday. As of Wednesday, and so many coaches have tried this unsuccessfully, you can't keep everyone quiet. Someone is going to say something to someone about who was the first-string quarterback at practice on Wednesday. That's when we'll know. There will be a report from someone Wednesday afternoon, early evening at the latest, as to who got the bulk of the first-team reps at practice on Wednesday, and that'll be our first clue as to whether or not it's Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill. But Tuesday is the big game plan day, and I know the Falcons have the capacity on the fly to come up with whatever they need to do, and they've dealt with Jameis Winston. They delivered the death blow to his career in Tampa Bay. They've dealt with Taysom Hill. They are going to need to be ready for both. And until further notice, it could be either guy, and there's still a chance that it will be both guys.
That's the other thing, too.
Maybe they just use both.
I agree. I mean, I don't think that's crazy this year. I don't. Jameis Winston, new system, things like that. Maybe this is a way he takes a little pressure off of him too, and they use a little bit more. I wouldn't be shocked to see that this year. I wouldn't, to where maybe Sean Payton risks, hey, I'm going to throw Taysom Hill out here a little bit more at quarterback and do those type of things, and then he doesn't maybe have to ask as much of Jameis Winston. I think it's a possibility, certainly. And to the point with the Falcons you're talking about, Mike, too, it is real. Yeah, the Falcons aren't as good as the Saints, but Raheem Morris knows this Sean Payton offense. All those years he had in Tampa, coaching against Gruden and those things, a lot of similarities. That's why they had success last year. They took away some of the staples of the Saints. And I think that'll scare the Saints, too, to where maybe that's where the Taysom Hill part of the offense comes into play a little bit more, to add another curveball, to their attack.
Quick question, quick answer. Under the time-honored notion of putting the best 11 guys on the field, who's better, Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston?
Oh, I'm going to go with Jameis Winston. That's close. That's close. It really is. But I just haven't seen Taysom Hill play enough quarterback. Yeah, Taysom Hill's a better football player, but I can't say he's a better quarterback than Jameis Winston. And I'm kind of excited to see what Jameis Winston can do in a Sean Payton offense.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.